Hey guys, how you doing? Are you adapting to the new normal? I'm recording this on Saturday morning, so we've had, well, give or take a week or maybe 2 weeks of pretty intense volatility in the industry and the market as a whole. Obviously, government measures meaning that because of COVID-19, we've all been having to stick in our homes for a week now. And that's had a profound effect on the economy, and we've seen that in the measures that have been put in place with furloughs and the like, with the government essentially helping to cover wages and all the rest, because they understand the impact it's going to have on industry and on the economy. And it's been tough for small business owners. It's been tough for staff of those companies. It's been tough for those who provide goods and services to those companies. And I know, because I work with people across that entire spectrum. And I know that one of the things that's been particularly hard hit in this time is marketing. I know that a lot of companies, a lot of small companies at the moment are saying, well, the way in which we do business has had to completely change. We've had to close shops. We can no longer get staff to fulfill certain orders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our providers have, the people who provide us with goods and services, are no longer doing so. And they're saying that therefore we need to now shut down a lot of the marketing tactics that we were using previously, because they no longer suit the business model that, the situation that we're in, or we simply can't sell, so therefore why bother with marketing? And this comes from I know why this happens. This comes from a mentality of of putting the cart before the horse, of saying, we need to engage in marketing tactic X, be that Google ads or social media or video marketing or whatever it is, and then seeing that as your marketing output. Whereas, of course, what it should be is you commit to an idea of marketing in general. You understand that people need to know about your company in order to interact with you, in order to sell, they need to know that you exist, but they also need to have this feeling of knowing who your company is and what they stand for and all of that. You commit to that idea of marketing first, and then you attach the tactics, be that your Google ads or your video marketing or your SEO or whatever it is that you do off the back of it. And what it means is, if you have a tactics first mentality, it means that, yeah, of course, when your whole aim is to use Google ads to sell your product, and then all of a sudden you can't sell your product for whatever reason online, then the idea is, right, we strip away the marketing, we take away the Google ads, because we can no longer sell online. And therefore you stop your marketing. Whereas, of course, what you should be doing is thinking the other way around. I want to start by just outlining a tactic, a way of thinking that I've been using with a couple of my clients recently. And it's this idea of thinking about your marketing as if it were a sports team. Take a football team as an example, an English football team as an example here. And think about the way in which on any particular team, you have attacking and you have defensive players, and you kind of have some that play in the midfield and kind of do a little bit of of all-round activity, and then there are kind of special cases like a goalkeeper. But let's not deal with those too much at the moment. Let's simply deal with those players on a football pitch who are attacking players, and those players who are defensive players. And let's think about them in terms of marketing tactics. In marketing, there are attacking tactics and there are defensive tactics. So there are things that are specifically designed to bring in revenue, the equivalent of scoring goals. So these are having a website, having a shop on the high street. These things are designed to specifically drive sales and facilitate sales. And then you have a suite of tactics. So these are the things like your Google ads or your social media ads or whatever. These are the things that are designed to assist the sale, essentially. Think of them as being like attacking midfielders in a football scenario. But we all know that you can't and you shouldn't fill a team with 10 or 11 attacking players. You need a balance between attack and defense. And so any good marketing strategy has a mix of some important and valuable and useful attacking tactics, but then also some defensive tactics as well. And these defensive tactics are not those that specifically contribute to the the bringing in of revenue, they don't have a direct correlation between you do a bit of this and therefore you bring in this amount of revenue, in the same way as defenders are not typically responsible for scoring goals, but they do provide the basis on which the rest of the team is able to attack and to be able to move forward. And so these are things like having a good tone of voice and reflecting that in the copy that you put on your website, or the copy that you write for your social ads, or the copy that you put into your emails, for example. These are things like having a defined visual identity, or a value proposition like Nike's Just Do It. These are the things that then, okay, just because Nike have Just Do It, they don't sell X number of pairs of trainers because they came up with Just Do It, but Just Do It does provide them with a stable base and an understanding of who they are and what they do, that then allows everything that they do that's designed to sell traders, then understands how they fit in that marketplace. And things like community management, for example, on social media or review sites like Trustpilot or FIFO, these all come under these kind of defensive tactics. You don't typically tend to sell because you respond to somebody's comment on Facebook, but it's all there as kind of reputation building, as providing solidity to the company. That means that if you go through these times where it's difficult to sell, you have this base line of loyalty and customer goodwill. That means that when you then come out the other side of it, you are able to continue to sell and to continue to exist. And I use this analogy quite a lot with my clients, and I think it's really important at this particular point in time, because we all know that, look, during the course of a season or during the course of a game, in fact, circumstances change in a sporting context, and you may go from a team that specifically aims to score as many goals as you possibly can to suddenly feeling like you need to defend, suddenly feeling like you have a lead. There's 10 minutes to go. You simply need to sit back and defend and look after what you can do, because you know that the opposition are simply not going to let you score at this particular point in time. Similarly, perhaps the opposition has a player sent off. You're behind. You've got 10 minutes to go, and then you need to just continue to push your players forward and try to score goals. And this is the situation that we find ourselves in now with this COVID-19 situation, because it's changed the goalposts in a sort of quite literal kind of a way for us. It's made us think differently about how we interact with our customers and what kind of marketing we need to do. What it hasn't done is said, when circumstances change for a football team, what they don't do is they don't say, okay, well, we'll just pull all our players off the pitch. We'll abandon the match, because that's to admit defeat, and that means that you don't get the chance to come back on the pitch when the situation's changed. What you do is you adapt your tactics. You say, right, we're going to defend a bit more, or we're going to attack a little bit more accordingly. And the companies that are going to come through this COVID-19 situation in a month, 3 months, 6 months, these are the sorts of timescales we're talking about here, are not going to be the ones who take their players off the pitch and just try to avoid marketing altogether. It's going to be those that adapt to the situation that they find themselves in and move forward. And I just want to give you two really quick examples of companies that I've noticed just in this last 2 weeks who've done that exact thing, who've adjusted their tactics, adjusted their marketing, and who I believe are going to come out of this in a good place. One's a client and the other isn't. Company one have an online presence. They have a store on the high street, and that company, for years they've been talking to me about, how do we sell? They've had a really good base, a really good all-round team, but the main aim has been to sell as many of their goods that they can. Now, this situation that we've got currently means that they can't sell, either in their shop, obviously that's closed, and they're still struggling to sell online as well because supplier issues and staffing and all the rest of it. But what they've said is, listen, we understand that at this point in time when we cannot sell those things, what we need to do is we need to start concentrating on our defensive tactics. So these are things like social media community management, making sure that if people are talking about them online, if they're asking where their orders are, if they're asking where if and when their shop is going to be open, that they're responding to those people and making sure that they're protecting the reputation of that company. They're doing things with emails to make sure that they contact people and give them updates on the shop shop and when it's going to be open and where their orders are and all of that sort of stuff. All these things you can do that are not designed to sell. They're not attacking tactics, but they are designed. They are part of the marketing mix, and they are there to protect the company when we come out the other side of this situation. The other's not a client of mine, but they are a company that I know really well. They're a bakery down here in Cornwall, and so they have shops all over the place. They have a lot of wholesalers. They have a lot of the local businesses, the hotels and the restaurants who take their bread. And of course, with hotels and restaurants, fundamentally not being open at the moment, they have no need for their bread, and so their usual way of selling bread is kind of has taken a big hit there. But they understand that bread is still still one of these things that people need and is an essential, and so there is still a massive need for their bread. And so rather than take the hit of say, well, we just simply can't sell masses of a big proportion of our bread to the wholesaler, to the restaurants and the hotels, what they've said is, right, we're going to adapt. We're going to try to do more and sell more direct to customers. So these guys, because they're a bakery, they've never really had like an online presence in terms of an attacking sales tactic, for their website. But what they've done is they've started to put care packages on their website that you and I as customers, we can order online and have delivered direct to our door. They've started taking a bread van out into more remote parts of the county to make sure that people who just can't kind of nip down to their local Tesco can actually pick up bread from their bread van. And it's a great example of a way in which, completely different to business one, they've said, right, we're gonna throw more attackers onto the field. We're gonna start, we understand that we need to make some substitutes. The bread van didn't exist before, but they've made a substitute in the sporting parlance to bring in the bread van to attack, to go out to their customers, to be able to sell more bread in this time when there is a need for bread and people, there are shortages on the shelves in the Tesco's and the like, and so that's what kind of people need. So the bottom line, the takeaway from this is really just to say that, look, think of your marketing in those terms. Think of it as a team. Think of it as a whole group of tactics and players in different positions. And in this time when it may not be possible to sell your goods and services in quite the way that you're used to doing so, don't pull your team off the pitch and admit defeat and say, right, well, we'll forfeit this match, but then we'll come back in June or July when and start playing games. Then you might be already in the relegation zone by the time that comes along. What you have to do is adapt. Start putting in different tactics in defense or attack, whatever suits your particular circumstances, and adapt the way in which you approach it. Going to be posting this across all my different social channels, so please make sure that you comment and share and ask me questions and stuff, and I'll do everything that I can to respond to them from my bunker. In the meantime, I wish you all well, and see you all soon.